Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And no picture. This is a great start. And doing very well this evening. Here it is. I'm back. Good evening. Welcome to the V8 Vets, brought to you by RaceKraft Simulations. This is the Over 60s series coming to you tonight from the one and only Okayama circuit. It is a fast-flowing circuit and things are not quite right yet, so just bear with me for a minute, running late. With me in the chat, with me in the com box tonight, I got Brett Fisher. How are you, Brett?
Yeah, good job yourself.
Trying to stay out of trouble. That's what I'm trying to do.
That's never an easy thing.
I always get myself into more trouble.
Yeah, for me it's always just the depth that varies.
Yeah, here we go. That's the right one now. I could turn some of this later. Let's have a quick look at the points. We'll start with that one before we start talking about this track. And of course, the points we see Shadow Racing, your teammates, in P1 and P2, which is quite exciting.
Good old Pete Latham and Ed Cullen. Pete, we were just talking about Pete before, and he's had a pretty tough couple of series. Actually, he's just not getting, not having a lot of fun, so to speak. But it's great to see him up on the top there.
Oh, look, that was one of the things for this series, was to let some of these guys that have been racing in those upper splits come back, race amongst their own peers and see how they go. So, of course, in third, we had Greg Sharp, who was in all sorts of trouble in the last lap of Belle Isle. And then Todd Duggan and Shane Patterson and Mike Korolev sneaks through. Jim Caperonis and Garry Buckland, the man that was in P2, slides all the way back to 8th. So that's quite a big hit to take. In front of Phil Marsh, leading our over 70s, and then Anita Buckland Lucas Burt, Phil Whiting, and Dave Logsdale didn't get to the 75% mark. So that is where we sit after round 1 in the championship. Of course, these boys.
It'd be good to see some of these other guys, have something to chase too. Like some of these split one guys.
Definitely will be good. Just waiting for trading paints to catch up as well here this evening. I have some issues with that. Did have some issues getting in this evening. Let's have a quick look at the track. And of course, the track is the Okayama circuit, where we start on the short start-finish straight, head down into the famous first corner, sweep around through the Williams curve, through the Moss curve, down to the Atwood curve, where we then head back to the hairpin and then come around through Revolver and Piper. Very technical part of the circuit, the hairpin and Atwood curve. And then after Revolver through Piper, we then come back up the hill through Redmond and Hobbs into Mike Knight corner and then down through last corner back onto the start-finish straight. Very technical little circuit and a very interesting circuit where they've literally cut the top off a hill to get a Formula One circuit on here. So very interesting place to race.
As you do. But isn't it interesting that hairpin corner, I actually find myself is actually not a bad one to get into. But coming through Revolver and Piper is the more difficult section of that track.
Yeah. And
get it right.
You need to get it right. You don't get it right, you're in trouble. It's very technical place for getting everything technical. Let's just see if this works for me.
And have you done any laps on here, John, since the rescan?
No, not in the Gen 3, and I think I've done none in the Gen 2. So
yeah, I did some last night, and the first thing I noticed was just seemed that the distances a little bit different, feel a little bit different. So if you expect it, and obviously we're in the new Gen 3 as well. So if you find, or what I found the first few laps was that you just had to reconfigure, like your expectation of where the track's going and things like that. So the track looks quite 3D curves.
Yeah, it does look like it will race well. Everyone's saying that the car handles okay. Not too many issues. So if you see what these guys can do, particularly if I can get some trading paints to load up.
Keep smashing that Control R, or is there something else you've got to do?
It's, about 5 different things happening here, I think.
Well, just having a look anyway. Greg Sharp at the moment, we've got about 6 minutes 45 into the qualifying session, the 10-minute qualifying session. Greg Sharp's put a 1:32.340 down so far. Garry Buckland not far behind. Alex Kiddith, Todd Duggan, Jim Caperonis, Pete Latham, Ed Cullen, Sean Patterson, Phil Martin, and Anita Buckland sitting in the top 10 at the moment, but I'm sure that's going to hotten up in the next 3 minutes.
Definitely looking forward to seeing what these guys can do anyway. And of course, I've all got enough time. Maybe see if we can get another lap to slide in. Okay, Trading Paints is telling me it's doing something now, so hopefully that's going to work for us. Jim Caperonis on track. Look at that, that's the right livery. Makes me feel a bit better. Need a Buckland in the right livery. Look at that. Look at that. I'm sharp in the right one. My account wouldn't load me into the race because I had to come in and go out again to change servers and do a few other little things, and it then just had a hissy fit on me, so not to worry. I then had to load in on our secondary bets account, which got me in, so we are here and here in time with 2 minutes to spare, ready to go. So we've looked at the points, we've looked at the track, and we can see Greg Sharp only 1,000th of a second, 100ths of a second in front of Garry at the moment, so that's very tight. Kiddis, the surprise, the split 3 driver sitting up there.
Yeah, look at go.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to this race. It was 34 laps tonight.
Pete Baxter and Dean Lonsdale not setting a time yet. So.
Of course, they are our race control.
There you go, that's why.
And myself was sitting in there as race control, which is interesting because I withdrew. So that explains why it wouldn't reload back in.
That's how up to date I am with the people who are in this series. But anyway.
Everyone's over 60, so it's an interesting bit. So we've got 2 split one drivers.
Just the Pete Baxter and Dean Long. Anyway, sorry guys, I didn't mean to age you.
Baxter's looking for any excuse to come down a split. He's been telling me wants to swap splits with his brother. That's the story going around at the moment.
Right.
Of course.
Any other gossip you got going on at the moment?
It's probably the main one.
Yeah, right.
Rob Baxter having a bit of a purple patch, qualifying in the top 10 every week in split 4.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that one.
Just under 30 seconds to go in this qualifying.
Yeah, just seeing where we're all at. Just trying to finish off one last hurrah. As we just wait for these boys to tick over their last few seconds. Like that. I'm just going to quickly click on something here. If that does me, no, that didn't work. Not going to worry about that, but that is David coming off there after he finished. And
that's right. David Lonsdale is Dean Lonsdale's.
That
correct?
That is correct.
Now I'm back up with it.
Yep. So it is a fair effort. One of 2 father-son combinations we have in the series at the moment. So John Latham, of course, if I'm split 1, quite well known. He's boss's young bloke. So definitely a couple there. Quite a few brothers, but not too many father and sons.
No, it's a good effort. It obviously goes to show you that the racing is in the family, in the blood.
In the blood, yep. And of course, Todd Duggan raced with his brother Mark, who's our DSO in split 1. It's been for a few seasons since he's hung up the boots. Very well-known racer was Mark. Used to keep, back in the old days, used to keep Jamie McKnight very honest. Of course, we've got the Vermeer boys down in split 4. They're brothers as well. They're not to be confused. We've got 2 Cullens, but they're not related.
No.
As well.
They give each other shit like they're related, though.
that they do.
Pete Keller's just asked brother-in-laws.
Brother-in-laws, yeah, we can classify that. It seems J. Ross is sitting on top of the table at the moment. I can see you trying to claim it now, Pete. Of course, Pete Keller here being Jordan Ross's brother-in-law. So a few out there. And I'm sure I've missed one or two as well, looking at the names on the sheet. So these boys just doing a 5-minute warm-up. There'll be a few boys out here just getting rid of the nerves, opportunity to practice some starts. Looking to see.
Winding down the 5 minutes into 3 minutes to go in the warm-up. Obviously, we did a couple of test starts and things like that. I must say, you know, looking at these new Gen 3 cars, the paintwork on these cars has been sensational. There's been some really, really good, you know, paint jobs out there.
It's definitely some very good creative people. Big shout out to Dean Flavelle for the WK&P paints. Greg Sharp getting it off the line there in practice. Let's see if he can do it properly in the race. Big struggle last week.
How are you finding him getting off the line yourself, John?
Oh, it's taken me a little bit. I think it's just a case of just being patient with the car now and just making sure you don't over rev while you're holding the clutch. And then, yeah, just that little bit of smoothness and you're okay. I think you're better off being a little bit down than a little bit up.
Yeah. Struggle a little bit, you know, just to relief too quick.
Luke Elman, Dave is actually 72. I've been corrected. That one, I did make a mistake last week.
That's a pretty good effort, though. Jeez, that's a huge effort.
Anything over 60 is a huge effort, I reckon. These boys doing very, very well. Of course, Mike Corraliff not with us this evening. He's on his way back from the 12 hour. I did see a photo where he caught up with a few of the vets, boys.
Yeah, Scotty Rakin was there, and who else was in that picture?
Blanchy, Chris Blanchard.
Blanchy.
Yeah.
Chris Blanchard.
And I know Rick Viger was up there as well. Definitely plenty of action on top of the mountain yesterday.
Unfortunately, missed a lot of it because the TV panel for some unknown reason. So anyway, I'll have to have a look at that when I get a chance.
Yeah, definitely not great. So our 5 minutes is just about up here. A chance to have a look at the grid. And of course, as we said before, in race control, we've got Peter Baxter and Dean Logsdale. Being quite well known in Split 2, working his way up through the ranks after being a winner in Split 3. And Pete Baxter needs no introduction to race control. Known or not known, he's the chief steward for his third season coming up for the Pro Series, which will be quite exciting to watch, with the qualifying series starting on Wednesday night with some other Muppet as race control. Interesting to watch as well.
And which Muppet are you?
On the race control.
No, it's an actual Muppet.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Parallel
Feedback
Muppet?
up here in race.
I usually go with the Waldorf's brothers, the ones that sit up on the balcony.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember their names.
Yeah, it is Waldorf and someone in the chat will help us out.
Yeah, surely. So these boys are on the grid. Let's have a quick look at this grid. Doesn't take us long to call it out. But on P1, we have Mr. Sharp from WK&P in a 1:32.34. Garry Buckland, the fellow Split 1 driver, 1/100ths of a second behind. In third, Alex Kiddis, the Split 3 driver, in his rookie season with us, doing really well. Todd Duggan from Nova Sim Sports shares the second row. Jim Caparonis, the Greek god himself from Southern Cross Racing, sitting in fifth, lines up alongside Peter Latham from Shadow Racing. On the fourth row, Phil Whiting from Passion Sim Racing, lining up alongside Shadow Racing's Ed Cullen. On the fifth row, Shane Patterson from Nova Sim Sport lines up alongside Phil Marsh from PJM Racing. And on the last row, we have Anita Buckland and David Logsdale. And I think there is one more, sorry. And then, of course, Lucas Burt didn't set a time. He'll be in the race, though, as well. And we have another person in race control sitting back there that's in the commentary box. I think we're up in for a great race here. Looking forward to seeing how this one really rolls out, Brett.
Yep, it's going to be a good one, and it'll be interesting to see how they all file into the first turn, the first corner. You know, and it's a nice wide corner too, so hopefully they give each other plenty of room. And getting into that second corner, I can't remember the name of it, it's a little bit tighter, so they'll probably fighting a little bit there for the space. So,
of course, into the Williams corner, named after Sir Frank. Very interesting to see how he tackles into that. Like, they've really got to get through turn 1 and turn 2 here and file out into single file before you get down to Atwood Curve. Going too wide through Moss really doesn't work very well.
no.
And then getting that exit out of Atwood Curve really sets you up for an overtake at the hairpin. And it's
Imperative you get out of there cleanly, but, you know, knowing that there's all that slight bend in the track, you over-accelerate a little bit, you get a little bit of wheel spin, and it kills your speed at the end of the straight.
Oh, it definitely kills it. And that wheel spin also hurts your tyres as well around this place big time. These boys shouldn't be too far away from lights out. I can hear the engine starting to rev. somewhere in the pack. Squirting. Here we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reds. Lights are out and we're away. A little bit better start from Sharp.
Got to pull a couple of lengths on there. Kid is dropping a couple of spots. Bill Whiting dropping a couple of spots as well.
And
But nice and clean so far.
Pepperonis up 2, dropping back into 3rd. He'd be quite happy with that start.
Yeah, that's a cracking start. And they're all single file too, so that's they've sorted themselves out really well to get on this back straight now.
Doing very well. You can see there, Garry Buckland taking the title line.
I'll tell you what, Jim Caperonis has really stepped up his driving over the last few rounds too. He's really come on strong.
Been working very hard with Hoffy. What I've been hearing. Very passionate fellow, young Jim. Todd Duggan slotting in behind these boys as well. Don't rule him out of this one. Well, it's 34 laps, 1 compulsory pit stop for the championships.
Ed Cullen sliding down the order there.
I just quickly go to the replay. If I've hit the wrong button now, I'll go back to the replay. There's all sorts of things happening here.
Big bit of action happening there.
Yeah. And Ed comes through, gets a tap, I think, from Anita.
Absolutely nailed.
Pato into the back of that as well. Anita into the wall and everyone else coming through. Definitely plenty of action in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks like all the cars are going again.
That's really broke up the field too because they were very close. There was only a gap between Latham and then they were all together there, but that certainly spread them out a bit. But still, very close.
Yeah, doing very well. Lucas is off now. I'm not sure what's happened there.
Buckland within 300s. Yeah, 300s.
But doing very well. Garry be slotting in behind here. Keeping the pressure on Sharpie.
The second lap of 34 laps. How many compulsory pit stops, John?
Just one, Brett. One for the series, so slightly shorter. So 125 kilometre race, so shorter than the 150s we do. Plenty of stones on the track there.
Yeah.
So shorter than the 150s that we do. So just to make it simple, just one compulsory stop. Fuel shouldn't be an issue either way.
So really there ain't going to be a short stop just to get the compulsory done. Maybe probably possibly change tyres. You guys didn't change tyres last week, did they?
Yeah, some of them didn't, but definitely a thought process it should go into here. Todd Duggan setting the fastest lap on the last lap there for the 133.2. So he's now right up behind Jim.
Yeah, Peterson's dropping back to a second behind Todd. So he's just in and out of that 1 second at the moment. He's top
How good do these new cars sound?
I don't know, I can't hear him, John.
Oh, I thought I ticked that button.
Nah, can't have a thing. You might be able to hear it, but I can hear it.
So, better work on that one.
We've got Bill Whiting, so the top 6 will start to get back within that 1 second gap. So the closest on the track at the moment is Caperonis at the moment. Duggan's still getting up on the back of Jim as well. So there, like what do you do, John? What do you do in this situation? Do you just try and sit nose to tail, get a little bit of a break on the guys behind you, or do you go for an attack? I mean, these guys,
still early on in this race here, so he'd probably be thinking two things. Look after the car, settle in a little bit, get some mileage under the belt, and then as we start to get up to, there's a little twitch. Then again,
Jim just running a little bit wide, just a bit of oversteer coming out of that course. Obviously, he just overshot.
Yeah. Toddy's
obviously feeling the pressure. Toddy, Jim looked good.
Here we go, Toddy with a good exit here. So what's Jim done to his tyres? Has he overheated them?
Is he going a little bit defensive yet? No, Toddy's stroking his nose.
Toddy quite well known for having a crack.
Yeah, I was just going to say that he's not going to sit back and just, he's putting plenty of pressure. If you see that little bit of a gap, he's going to put it in there. He's got it. And that's what we do. Great thing.
That's right, and he's got to be watching that gap going out to Garry as well. Todd doesn't want that to get too big either.
No, that's right. You just say, obviously if he's holding him up, he's going to put a little bit more pressure and try and sort of get that move done.
But a Duggan definitely working his way through. Word in from race control, car 11, drive-through penalty with contact with car 12 on lap 1, turn 7. So that being Anita Buckland for the incident that we saw earlier on with, I believe was Ed Cullen?
Yep. It's a fighter. He'll come back. Jim running just a little bit wide there, kicking up a little bit of dust there. I don't know whether that was his line or whether he overshot that corner a little bit again. So I wonder whether Jim's pushing that a little bit harder. Todd's got a nice inside line just up the strip there. Jim is probably about half a car width away from the apex there. So that's the line. But now going a little bit defensive.
Of course, this gap's now got out to over a second to Buckland in front of Caparonis.
Yeah, it's popping in, popping out, isn't it? Yeah, it's on that second, so it's just slides forward. It just tries to get tucked up again behind Garry. You might find that little bit of less pressure, but he's definitely copying some pressure from Todd at the moment. Really coming out shallow there, nice little exit. Let's see who comes off the front straight here. Closes the gap right up there.
Yeah,
a little bit of oversteer.
Todd driving well.
Yeah, he's like I said before, he's really wanting that position now, I think, because he can see the other guys just moving away. So carrying that little bit of tighter line. He's going for an alternative line here and there.
Caparonis a bit wide.
Yeah, a little bit wide. Set a little wiggle in the tail, and then you're just going, yep, thanks, I'll put a bit of pressure on there.
Just saw Sharp on the radiator race control, so not sure. There's an accident behind, just as I left it.
Yep.
Try to focus on the leaders as well. We'll go to the replay straight away.
I reckon Todd's trying to put his nose on the inside. He's just lost the front end.
And Kiddis gets through. Whiting. And didn't hold his brakes.
No, did not hold his brakes. That was
Latham.
Pete Latham.
Yep.
Yeah, Pete Latham.
Oh, Jim.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not great. Race control can sort that one out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they come up with that one.
Yeah.
It looked like Todd sort of just locked the front end and just went right there for a second, so that's unfortunate.
So Sharp was under a lot of pressure here from Buckland, and I did see Sharp on the blower to race control. So I was just jumping up to this to see what was going on up here when that all happened, but that just shows in this series. And don't forget, no drop rounds in this series. It's only a 5-round series.
Yeah,
and
so
you can't afford it.
Need to have a good finish. Need to put the consistency in there. Pete Latham going for pit lane. So obviously, might have
up a little bit of damage, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. It looked like it wasn't much of a tap, but it's just one of those front nose to right-hand front tyre sort of contact, so hopefully he hasn't damaged too much there and get back out and get his compulsory done.
Caperonis in as well, so I'd imagine you'd have a little bit of damage. Buckland here keeping sharp honest.
Yep. It's the hottest contested piece of real estate at the moment. The rest are sort of just falling away a little bit. Obviously, Caperonis, he's gone to pit lane. Pete Latham is still in pit lane. But David Lonsdale on the back of Ed Cullen, he's probably the closest in the mid-pack. Yep, about a second out.
And might just go back into that mid-pack, see how Patterson's recovered. He's sitting in 6th at the moment. So of course he was caught up in that lap 1 incident. You see a little bit of damage on the left side. Hugging away, he's closed the gap down a bit to the guys in front, but of course that's Duggan. Duggan's still circulating. It's only a matter of time. We'll see what race control come up with. And Whiting is up 3 spots in the 4th. Kiddis, who we've talked about, he's only 2 seconds behind Buckland, so he's doing quite well here.
He's doing well. He's starting 3rd, he's staying in 3rd, and he's just keeping his nose clean at the moment, staying out of trouble.
Doing very well.
Bill Whiting up 3 spots at the moment in 4th spot. He's fair way back off the back of Kiddis, but you know, just nothing to be sneezed at either. Like, you know, if you get a half decent, solid finish in the top 5, you know, that's always good for points.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You're never going to sneeze at that. Yes.
And it's interesting with that new remodel. I think it's added another interesting complexity to the racing. I think too, you know, like whereas, you know, gone in the Gen 2s, you know, you sort of like been a bit more braver on certain spots of the track, but now with that, you know, getting a bit of debris on the track, it closes up that, you know, racing line a little bit more, and it just brings an element of interest into it.
It definitely does make it that a little bit interesting, to say the least.
Garry's actually falling off the back of Sharp at the moment too. He's 1.2 seconds behind him now, so I don't know what's happened there.
Yeah, I'm sure. Kiddis, though, still hanging on to the back of Buckland. He hasn't closed that gap at all.
No, but if Buckland falls back a bit further, he might sort of, it might excite Kiddis to sort of get up a bit closer to Buckland, really.
Great drive from Kiddis, the split 3 driver.
Going to watch him over the next lap or so, so he's about 1.5 at the moment. Oh, well, it's lost their time. Now it's back.
It's back.
Yeah, put that about 1.6 or something. So goes at the end. It's great. So the field really well spread out now. Unfortunately, it doesn't sort of help much there, but they're in an exciting moment.
So just been asked for a bit of a race recap. So I'll quickly try and run through that for us. On lap 1, Greg Sharp was our pole man with Buckland taking the front row. Kiddis on the 3rd row. We had a bit of an incident with Ed Cullen in lap 1. So Ed running back a little bit in the pack at this stage. Got a little bit of a tap from Anita Buckland and Pato involved as well. A little bit of damage to a few cars. That was the first major thing that occurred. We've seen some great racing with Greg Buckland and Sharp. We also had some awesome racing with Caperonis, who's been running 3rd for a fair while in the race. And then Jim in lap 6 had under a lot of pressure from Toddy Duggan. And on lap 6, they had a coming together at Atwood Curve. Todd making a look for a move. Didn't quite get it done. And that was the result of that. Bit of perpendicular synchronised spinning. Jim not holding his brakes into another car there as well. Doesn't look any prettier every time you watch it.
No, the curse of Latham is still continuing.
Yeah. And after that, we have seen a call between Greg Sharp to race control. Wasn't sure what that was about. And the other one, of course, is Garry Buckland starting to drop off the back, and Kiddis starting to catch on. So the top three guys racing quite well. Word coming in, the car 511, which is Todd Duggan, which we expected was a drive-through penalty for contact with car 69 on the incident we just showed. So that was the first call in from race control, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's another one from that incident.
And just watching Kiddis, as I was saying before, he's closed up that gap to 1.2 seconds, 1.3 seconds, so he's definitely closed about 200ths of a second in to Garry Buckland. Buckland now back up on the end of Sharp, so that battle's continuing. Whether he just maybe just give his eyes a rest or whatever, or he just maybe come out sideways and just overheated the rears or something like that. Just thought, I'll back off for a tick, let it cool down, let it rise again, and maybe get back into it. So because the team now 600ths of a second Sharp. So, and I did notice in that Ed Cullen and Anita Buckland incident that I reckon Pete Latham ran a little bit wide, and Ed might have backed off just to sort of see what was going on in that, and then obviously Anita's come up the back of Ed, so there might be a bit more of that as well.
It'd be interesting to hear the stories from after the race, and just another one's just coming through from the race control. These boys have been busy tonight, and of course car 69 Jim Caperona's getting the penalty for drive-through penalty for the unsafe rejoin, which is what we had expected.
Yeah. Now, Ed Cullen is closing on the end of Phil Marsh as well, so he's got himself back under control. So he's nearly half a second mark at the moment, so he's going well there. Pete Latham's on the back of David Lonsdale as well, and it goes for pass just then as we look at that there. So he's made a move. So Pete Latham's back on the rise again. But his next competitor is about 20 seconds up the road, so he's got a fair. What is that? No, sorry, that's Ed.
And Pete's 19 seconds behind Phil.
Right, sorry. Yep. My bad.
Yeah. And we've just had the Tom Jones equivalent of knickers thrown on the stage from Dave Baldock, telling me to shut up and you to speak more, Brett.
Oh.
Bloody Baldock. Can't take him anywhere.
I thought I was probably talking too much.
Nah, you're doing well. Something's happened to Jim, so let's have a look what's going on here. I'm coming out of the lane, and I think he's just slowed down to let the leaders through.
Yeah.
That's all that is, so nothing to see there.
Yeah. That's good and bad, that, isn't it? It can also end in tragedy as well, so...
It's one of those interesting exits, isn't it, this place?
Oh. And it's funny too, like, I think sometimes, even though you might be watching the leaders come up and stuff like that, I think you're better off to commit to the exit, go flat out, and then, get back in traffic and then allow their leaders to pass. Because you only need that. If it was a bigger field, you'd have that train of cars coming through. It's almost impossible to sort of get back into the train. But
yeah.
Or Ed Cullen just goes for pass on Phil Marsh. So that's now. Yeah.
It's that thing coming out of Atwood.
And Phil hasn't got anything.
Oh, Marsh, you having a look?
Yeah.
Hey, love it.
Gonna keep him honest.
Yep. Another great looking livery out of the RaceKraft Shadow Racing studio.
Yeah, I'm working on the new ones already for next season. the boys are excited about it.
Let's have a quick look in how Shane Patterson's going. He's up 5 spots with the bended over Sim Sports entry.
Still not a bad place to be, like he's 2 seconds off the back of Kiddis. So Kiddis is now,
26, yeah.
26 seconds. Kiddis has now dropped to nearly 2.5 seconds off the back of Garry Buckland. So whether he's used up his tyres just to keep it up there, but Garry Buckland is still just over half a second off the back of Sharp. So I reckon Garry's just sort of sitting there going, hey, let's cruise along here, and then we can correct it later on. But we're 13 laps of 34 into this race so far. It's been a huge amount of action.
Yeah, definitely been very, very busy. Let's just check in on Sharp. Still less than a second back to Buckland. Still see Kiddis has got sight of these lads.
Yep.
So if you Garry, Brett, what do you think now? Do you think we're just about reached the halfway mark? We're only 4 laps from it. Do you think of an undercut on Greg and see what happens? Force Greg into reacting, or you just stay out that little bit longer?
It's always a tough one, isn't it? Especially, did he run wide there? Yeah, it's a tough one. Look, I mean, I'm not the best on pit calls. Like, I'm still trying to work out my strategies and things like that. So, whether you undercut or overcut or whatever it is and things like that. So, I don't know. And as I said, Garry's been up there right on his car for a number of laps. That seems to be within that half a second. He's been blown out to over a second and a half nearly, but then he's pulled it back in. So if Garry just sitting back there, just going, I'm just going to cruise along. I know where he's weak. I know where he's strong. That's the sort of feeling I get at this stage. I mean, he's. And what do these cars run on a heavier load than a lighter load? I haven't tested it out as far as that's concerned, but we're 16, 17 laps, so you'd sort of say that's going to be even split. So are they going to come in then? Are they going to keep the cars, well balanced on fuel as Garry Buckland just gets closer to Greg Sharp now? Close the gap right up, so I don't know.
It's going to be a tough gig. Buckland tucked right up behind, still only half a second.
Yeah.
Of course, this circuit rescanned in the last 12 months by iRacing.
Interesting that line. Sorry, John.
Yeah.
It's that line that both of them are taking, because they've taken that different line over a number of laps. So Sharpie obviously likes to come out very shallow of that turn 1, and Garry likes to sort of get a real big swing on it and late apex it. So. A
little twitch there from Sharp.
And I reckon that's what Garry's going to be looking for, is if you start to twitch, he's going to go, I'm probably applying enough pressure to sort of, he's feeling a little bit threatened, so.
And Patterson in the lane for his stop. Of course, Phil Whiting, the leader of the stoppers, he pitted on lap 9.
Close right up now on Sharp, getting tucked under that rear wing.
And Sharp in the lane.
Sharp's gone.
Yeah, there we go.
For it. So this will be interesting to see where they all land here. David Lonsdale's in pit lane as well. Yeah,
so it's hammer time for Buckland now. Yeah. What can he do here? He's got to have some hot sectors.
Yeah, it'll be interesting seeing his lap times, whether they, are still consistent to what he has been turning out, or whether they're faster.
Well, see what his first sector time is when he comes through. Should be bring them up here actually, so we can see them. So his sector 1 time is a purple.
Yep. So he's obviously going on it.
Yeah. No, there's his go time.
Yeah. So this is going to be really interesting when Sharp comes back out of pits and Garry does his stop now. Whether does he stop within the next couple of laps, or if he's finding that he's getting nice fresh clean air and he's putting down some good lap times, just run it a little bit drier.
Of course, Sharp stationary 26.97 seconds. Buckland goes green in sector 2 and sector 3. So he's definitely got the hammer down. And of course, the final sector, if he goes into the lane, it won't be his fastest, and he's peeling off here.
Yeah, peeling off, right. So this will be good to see when he comes out.
Jump
What's
back.
Kiddis going to do? Kiddis going to stay.
No, Kiddis is going in as well.
Kiddis is going in, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's probably the smart move too, to stay in contact with Buckland.
So Sharp pushing pretty hard here. Of course, come out with cold tyres. No tyre warmers in this series. So you got to massage those tyres as well. It's quite easy to overheat them very quickly.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is.
It's interesting to see. Buckland's still not rolling. Here comes Sharp. Might just try, see if we can get a bit of an overall view.
Buckland
Coming around.
Yep, Sharp's coming on the straight now.
Where's Buckland? Buckland's been stopped for 25. He stopped a
There he
second.
goes.
He stopped a second less.
Wow. And look at that time difference.
Greg's got him big time. Look at Kiddis.
Yeah,
Kiddis.
Kiddis is on fire.
Yep, absolutely.
Wow, that was a. So his stop time was left, but he has lost, 3 seconds.
And had 2 green sectors on his
Wow.
lap. So it must have made a hell of an outlap by Greg.
Yep. And our Kiddis is right up within half a second of Buckland now. So, yeah, Kiddis is. If you're Kiddis, what do you do? Just sit, obviously knowing you're, split 3 driver?
Yep.
Okay, so not having a dig at any minute like that, but obviously knowing that he's got split 1 drivers in front of him, does he just sort of, try and ride in the coattails of Garry, just to get a really good solid finish? Or you try and sort of...
Make a name for yourself.
Make a name for himself. Well, look, I think he's making a name for himself anyway.
Already?
To tell you the truth.
Yeah.
To be sitting where he is right now on the back of Buckland, I think that's a pretty good bloody effort.
Yeah, definitely doing very well. I'm just going to double check like it. I know Kiddis is one of our rookies. A lot of names go around in my head now when we start talking vets with 200 drivers and God knows how many on the wait list.
I can't imagine that one. Bloody hell. My head would be like a bloody, those bingo barrels on a bloody bingo night with all the numbers rolling around.
Yeah,
Wouldn't get much sense out of me.
Yeah.
Look at Greg Sharp, though, he's just put down a 32.9, so he's flying.
Yeah.
He's flying. So that gap now to Buckland has gone out to 3.6 seconds. Kiddis is right on the ginger of Buckland.
Yeah,
So
Kiddis.
that's really...
Yeah, definitely split 3 driver.
Yep.
Hey.
But, so Phil Whiting, you said he's done his compulsory?
Phil Whiting has stopped, yes.
Yeah, Pete Latham. Has he done his compulsory?
Latham stopped lap 6.
Right, so he's back up in 5th. So he's done really well to sort of get himself back in the game there, even though he's a fair way off. He's 3 seconds off Whiting, but he's 16 seconds off Pitt. So
And of course,
Cullen now going for Pitt.
yeah. Then the other one to keep an eye on back there, I think, will be Pato. He's only 14 seconds behind Latham, but no, we're talking 8 laps difference in tyres. So that'll be something to watch towards the end.
Yeah, we'll see with those distances close, but the field is really, really well spread out. Well, not well spread out because it doesn't really induce the sort of good race calling, I guess. But there's still plenty of things to happen. But the field is really well spread out. If you look at our track map, there's a couple of little groups there, but we're really covering the whole lot of the track. Oh, Duggan, he's done his compulsory, and look at Spread Sharp just put down and Buckland just matched him.
32.4. Wow.
Yeah, he's on.
It's on up there.
Yeah. So 3 seconds. There's 3 seconds closing. And let's hopefully that gap closes now. Kiddis has dropped off now to 1.6 second behind Buckland. So he's obviously finding the pressure of staying with Buckland just a little bit high at the moment, but at this stage, if I was Kiddis, I would just be going drive to within my limits.
Yep.
Don't drive for the other drivers. Because I say you're sitting in a good spot. You know, he's got a decent gap behind him for whiting. Obviously, a caution, a safety car in event changed the dynamics of this race completely. But at the moment, there's some people that are fairly safe where they are. But and you see Garry just getting under that 3 seconds now. So
yeah, definitely working very hard. I'm really impressed with the way Kiddis is handling himself here. Just going to go back. Duggan, he's catching up on his teammate.
Yeah, he's within 1.5 seconds. So Todd's on a rampage. He's going to want to sort of get himself back up there. He's dropped down 3 positions from where he started from, so he's going to want to try and rectify that as much as possible. As he almost comes into about a second behind, so he's definitely close.
Definitely working very well. And that gap up the front, opening up again a little bit.
Yeah, 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, definitely a bit of daylight.
It is just dropping off the back of Buckland as well. So, yeah, same again, I'm not too stressed about that. I think just run your race.
All you got to do.
Although he's dropping off fast now, so he had a bit of... Oh no, balancing out again. But Todd Duggan on the back of Paddo, within a second, he's in 600ths of a second. So that's going to be our biggest contest at the moment on track.
Definitely a battle and a half for these boys.
But you got to wonder, is Todd driving angry at the moment?
Nah.
Knowing the fact that he sort of got himself in a bit of strife.
He would be using his inner.
And here he goes, big pass on the inside.
Yeah.
I think that might have been
A little bit organised.
Oh, he's locked up a bit to the front though.
Paddo comes with him.
And again he's locked the front. So he's got a... That's
Twice.
That's his biggest problem. Double 3 times if you consider the Caperonis incident.
Heavy on the
He's obviously
brakes.
having an issue. Oh yeah. He's definitely driving angry.
Yeah. Good to see. Still battling away though. It's going to go back up. That gap's starting to close a little bit again now.
Still, it's still fluctuating though, like 2.2. But you only need, like if you're watching your timing screens, and Sharpie's sort of seeing that fluctuate and close, does he? I mean, obviously probably a lot more poise than some of the lower splits, but it still must play on your mind, seeing someone start to close the gap. So you sort of think, do I drive a bit harder? Do I, keep trying to maintain that gap? And he's starting to come up on lap traffic too, so...
That'll play a factor into the game.
Yeah.
It's just going to have a bit of a look back, bit of a recap on Ed. Ed's back in 9th. Phil Marsh, he's still battling out there, about to get lapped, but he's doing quite well in 10th. David Logstaff still on track circulating. 72-year-old, doing very well.
Yeah.
And he's ahead of Lucas Burt, who's up 3 spots. Lucas.
Oh, actually, what's happened there? Lucas Burt has just had something go drastically wrong there. That car does
not steer straight, no.
So Lucas Burt's in a bit of trouble. I wonder if he can get this car back to the lane, or is he going to struggle? This could bring out the safety car if he doesn't get it around.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Did see he had a little bit of an off earlier, so maybe he's been battling with his car for a little bit.
Yep. Oh, that front right hand is looking very second hand.
Lucas, of course, our split 4 safety car driver. I don't know. I think he's running on the rim there, isn't he, on the front?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah,
I'll come back to that. We'll go back up front. Buckland, Timmy Lawson asking the question, will Garry have the tyres left to make a pass at the end?
And that gap, Garry Buckland to Sharp, is still on about that 2.2 seconds. So just as I say that, he closes a little bit closer, but it's not really closing down super fast with 12 laps remaining in this race. So now Lucas, looks like Lucas Burt's got himself in a pit lane.
Yep, he's done well.
Yeah, so he's done well. So time-wise, Garry Buckland 100th off. Kiddis a bit faster than Buckland. So, yeah.
Driving exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, with 23 laps in, you can't say he just hot lapped quali.
No, that's a good bit of consistency there. Even though Rayla been dropping off the pace a little bit, he's maintained a decent sort of times, you know. And even Phil Whiting, he's blown that out to now 20 seconds plus, so that was down into the 19 seconds. So
yeah, definitely doing well. So I think he'll be pretty safe. Get it home from here. Just over 10 laps to go. Just doing a little bit of homework here. Just bear with me for half a second. And
so Greg Sharp's still out in front at the moment, doing a great job. He's maintaining about a 2-second gap to Garry Buckland at the moment. Behind him, they were nose to tail a lot earlier in the race there, but Kiddis is still in that. He's still floating between that 2.5 to 3 second gap to Buckland. He's done a fantastic job so far to stay right in the fight here. It's not a close fight, but it's still in the fight. Phil Whiting running in 4th at the moment. He's up 3 spots, just blown out to about 21 seconds. So whether Phil is just struggling with the car a bit, or Kiddis is just driving that thing really well, which is matching the time. Look at that. So Kiddis has just done 1:33.4, and Garry Buckland's has done 1:33.4. So he's not to be sneezed at all in this race. As I was saying before, he's really held his own.
Done very, very, very well. I had done the 2 races so far, or finished in the 2 races so far in split 3, so definitely driving really, really well. This is exceptionally
consistent too, very, very consistent. So Phil Whiting's time for that last lap was a 34, 3 or 5, so he's about a second slower than Kiddis at the moment, you know. So kudos, but he's up 3 spots too, so he's done well.
Done very well. I think he'd be pretty happy with that. Phil, of course, split 4 driver. Representing Passion Racing. Yeah. But
that's another good livery. Pretty wild.
Safety first. Very, very recognisable, usually in front or behind me. So somewhere in my mirrors or in my vision. Phil, never too far away.
And Pete Latham, he was sitting around that 4.5 seconds behind Phil Whiting. Now just creeping under that, well, just as I say that, he goes to 4 seconds, but he was just under that, 3.8 seconds, so he was closing there for a second. And Todd Duggan, he's been on a fight to come back as well after his earlier incident. Down 2 spots, but he's a fair way behind Pete at the moment, but never say die.
Doing very, very well.
Hey, Shane Patterson just behind Todd there, so he's 8 seconds behind him, but then Jim down 3 spots from where he started, but he's made, considering the fact he got turned around there earlier, and he's sort of back in the 8th spot, so he's sort of, consolidated somewhat.
Yeah, definitely some consolidation. I'm just going to say, caught up with Shane Patterson and Todd Duggan for Christmas up in Newcastle and Foster. Two very entertaining lads. There. So, big shout out to those 2 boys and the Nova Sim Sport team. But yeah, very entertaining evening. on the Thursday and Friday night. So yeah,
A couple of sore heads the next morning.
yeah, well on the way.
Oh, fair enough. Kiddis is closing the gap.
He has
He's
too.
down at 1.7. He's down at 1.7 seconds. Garry Buckland nearly back out to 3 seconds, the 2.7 second behind Darby. So, bloody hell. And look at that, look at the time, it's a second quicker. So Gary's done a 34.5, and Kiddis has done a 33.5. So whether Gary's had a bit of an issue around the track there somewhere, or pushing a bit hard, but Kiddis is definitely closing the gap.
Oh, absolutely. Then he's got him back in sight now, so it gives him a bit of a carrot to chase.
Now the danger of this is as soon as you get the taste in your mouth, what happens?
Yeah, overdrive.
That's always a hard thing to not do, you know, like, I mean, yeah, we're all racers, we all want to progress and stuff like that, but just, you got to keep doing what you're doing, not overdrive it, so. But he's been consistent, he's been very, very consistent, so.
Done very well.
The Caperonis is about 2 seconds of closing on the back of Shane Patterson as well, so he's closing the gap there. Peter Latham, sorry, I'm jumping all over the spot, but Peter Latham's just over 3 seconds behind Whiting, so he's closed about a second over the last 3 laps. So, you know, there's a few things moving left and right here.
Yeah, I don't think it's all over yet. And I'll just jump on board, do a lap. Jump on board, do a lap with, I find the right camera. I'll do a lap with Greg, our race leader.
And we'll just have to, I'll just have to imagine what the car sounds like.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's something I've never fixed up.
But it's all good. It's all good. Not bad coming through that section of the track there. Let's see. I mean, there's obviously a number of different lines people take here, but geez, look how shallow he takes that, and tries to get a drive off there. Obviously, it's working for him. But as we said before, you know, Garry Buckland taking some very different line to there, runs a little bit wider and has a late apex at it.
Driving very smooth. Really shift to third.
And that's a tough corner there too, because I think it's slightly off camber too to the outside of the track, so the car really wants to sort of, you know, dart around on you. It's a very flat track, this, isn't it? It's not really much aid to help the car corner.
Of course, interesting circuit. Like, knocked the top off a mountain to build it. Raced the Pacific Grand Prix here a couple of times. And then that was the end of it with Formula One.
Caperonis right on the back of Shane Patterson now. He looks like he might be going for a pass in a second, and he has. He's got the pass done.
Yep, nicely gets away.
Yeah. So obviously he's focused. He's got his driving. You know, he's focused back on his driving again, and really sort of just pushing forward. So that's great. He just back to within just over 1.5 seconds of Buckland as well. So. Not going to write him off, so we've got 6 laps to go.
I can definitely see him back there.
And I don't think Gary's going to be able to close that gap. He's got 3 seconds. He's just not going to. He doesn't seem to be making any ingrounds into Sharpie, but I think Kiddis is going to have to be sort of to be watched, and that's probably what maybe Gary's focusing on a bit too. Maybe, I don't know. You know, he's seeing him come. You know, he's nearly down to 1.5 seconds.
And of course, these boys having to consolidate, I guess, after the results of last week. So Garry probably been conscious that he can't drop back too much, can't overdrive to catch Greg.
And maybe that's what happened when he came out of pits, and maybe he's just overdriven a little bit and burned up the tyres. And now he's just having to think. Kiddis is down under 1.5 seconds, so he's coming. He's definitely coming.
He's coming fast.
Yeah. Just hope he holds it all together. Don't over... Oh,
A little deep. And then that's the line everyone's been driving.
Oh, okay. Right, cool. Buckland just bang right on that 2.8 seconds. So I think the close the gap for Buckland and Sharp is over. I think there's definitely that's over. So I think Buckland is really just be concentrating now on just keeping that second spot. And Peterson's a far enough away to sort of not be a super threat at the moment. So he's just got to hold it off there. But if he keeps closing the way he was those last couple of laps. I was going to say that it's nearly stretching out to nearly 2 seconds, but he's really pushing now. You can see the attitude of the car.
It's creeping it up slowly.
Yeah, it's one of those things. He sort of creeps up a bit and then drops back a bit. So I wonder whether he sort of, he's playing with that. Lightly overdriving the car and then maybe just going, all right, settle down and then getting it back under his feet again. Or, well, as you see, Garry Buckland, what's the time difference between there? Yeah, so there's half a second difference between Garry and Kiddes then.
Yeah,
and,
definitely makes a difference now.
Yeah.
Like we saw that little bit of a dive.
Yeah, maybe Gary's just gone, right, get your head back into the game. I don't know.
Yeah, not sure what's going on with trading paints, Bruce. I had some little bit of issues at the start where better TP wouldn't even work. And then trading paints itself kicked in after a restart. Not sure what's going on with Alex's livery.
So Kiddes is
twitchy at the back there.
I think he's just pushing. Fair enough. But it's gone out to that 2 seconds, just under 2 seconds. So he's sort of losing a little bit of contact with Garry, but Gary's closed the gap a little bit. Pete Latham, he's
closed that gap a little bit as well.
But he hasn't been closing it very hard. So. He's only probably closed it about half a second in over about 4 or 5 laps. So sort of, he'd be happy to finish where he is anyway. I think, 5th after a great finish last week. So.
Just looking to consolidate, caught up in a little bit of action early on.
And you look at Gary's time, Buckland's that time, it was a 33, below 33.
6 cents, fast and Sharpie.
Yeah.
But a little bit of lap traffic in the middle there though too as well with Logstar.
Yeah, well there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. Three laps to go.
I mean, solid drive from Greg. Very disappointed last week. A-ing himself for the start that he got.
And it's amazing if you get a bad start, it stuffs up all your hard work, Well, Gary's coming.
He's not laying down.
Yeah, nearly had it down to 2 seconds, but is it too little, too late?
Well, it's just reminded me, we're talking about fathers and sons, and talking about brothers. We didn't mention husband and wife, of course, with Anita back in 12.
Yep.
That one slipped my mind.
Only husband and wife.
Yeah.
Too.
Ironically, with 2 sim rigs side by side.
Wonder if Anita sort of slaps Garry every now and again. So Garry Buckland that time 33.9, Sharpie done a 33.7. And Kiddes done a 33.9, so it's sort of plateaued at the moment, I think, with 2 laps to go, something catastrophic has got to happen to some of these cars to for things to change. I think everyone's
Mm.
spaced out far enough that we're probably looking at a status quo towards the end of this race, but you never count your chickens until the eggs have hatched.
Just going to say Todd Duggan last time by was the fastest lap on track. So Todd absolutely flying, trying to
Yeah, he's driving angry. I told you that.
And
with 9 seconds to sort of make up, but unfortunately it's a bit hard. But, I mean, isn't that great though? Like what was the gap when they came out of pits was 3.5 seconds, I think, Garry Buckland to Greg Sharp or so, nearly 4 seconds, maybe, or something like that. So Gary's pulled that back in. He's down at 1.8 now. But with the top 3 drivers, they've really stayed at that same, like they've moved up and down, but you know, the laps that they've just punched out, and they've stayed within that same sort of time frame, you know, so they're fairly close on lap speed. Latham's now, oh no, he was clicked over to under 3 seconds, so 2.9, so he's still closing, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
so on the penultimate lap now, been a great fight from Kiddis. He's done well to try and hang on to the back of these lads.
And I think you can tell by the times that he's tried to push, and it just quite hasn't worked for him. You know, by he's gained distance and lost distance. You know, so over those laps after pits. So he's definitely been trying hard. Latham nearly down to 2.5 seconds off the back of Whiting, so he's
trying.
He's been doing a bit of creeping Jesus. Gary's under 2 seconds down, 1.8, 1.9 seconds. This is 2 closest battles on the track at the moment. Probably too little, too late at the moment though for any big changes, unless someone makes a
big mistake.
Yeah, big mistake in the closing stages.
Well, runs out of fuel.
Yeah, that's it.
I do believe Greg may have been very close to the bubble at Belle Isle.
Yeah.
But he's driven well tonight. Put it on pole. That's the first job you got to do. Tick.
Yep.
Get it off the line.
Tick.
That's probably the most important job.
Yep.
Tick.
Yeah, well, if you're in with half a chance if you get those couple of things right, don't you?
Well, particularly on the front row.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than getting on the front row or the front 2 rows or whatever, and making a mistake as you get off the line and everyone goes past you. Pretty demoralising.
I think we were lucky last week. Everyone got past him, to be honest. I think if it was a Thursday night field of 40 plus cars, it may have been another story, but he survived. Only to have it taken away on the last lap. Tonight he comes around with 2 more corners to go. Gary's closing.
Yeah, Gary's closing. I think it's just too little, too late, unfortunately there. But that's a great drive from Greg Sharp. He's definitely, he's definitely going to take out the win here onto the final straight now.
Yeah,
he's got to be happy with that. Garry Buckland within 1.5 seconds.
Buckland with redemption as well.
Kiddis in 3rd spot with 2.5 seconds behind. It's a top effort there.
And Whiting home in 4th. That is a great result for the split forward driver, up 3 spots.
He'd be pumped.
He would be very pumped.
Latham would be happy with that top 5. Having a great run last week, finishing top 5 up 1 spot, so he'd be wrapped with that.
Yeah, look, he'd be wrapped with it. A little bit of recovery though. It would have been interesting to see what maybe could have been if he didn't get caught up in someone else's accident.
Yeah,
Toddy Duggan going to bring it home in 6th.
that's a good effort for recovery too from Toddy.
Very hot shoe driver. Speaking of hot shoe drivers, Jim Caparonis from Southern Cross Racing brings it home in 7th. Down 2 spots, but gets it over the line. This bloke here, I know what's about to happen. He's going to cross the line. He's literally going to stop the car, get out, leave everything running, and go straight to his own car in the driveway and drive to work. The car is packed, everything is there, the keys are next to the door, he's ready to run.
I wonder whether he's got an auto start on his car, so he just has to, it's already warming up. Everything away.
The old Mustang wouldn't surprise me. That's absolutely sensational presented car. Yep, there he's gone. Call it.
I'm out.
Have a good night at work, Pato. Definitely.
Ed Cullen in 9th, down 1 spot, unfortunately, having that incident early. Phil Marsh in 10th. Started in 10th and finished in 10th. David Lonsdale up 1 spot, 11th spot. Anita Buckland down 1 spot in 12th. Lucas Bird in 13th, up 2 spots.
Actually, Marshy running a logo on the side of the car. I don't know if I'm going to be able to zoom in and get that, so we might. That's why we wait for some of these guys to come and talk to us. We might try and do a bit of trickery here. And bear with me, because I'm curious. And zoom in a bit. And never underestimate an old man with a mobility scooter. Nice work, Marshy. Nice work.
Very good.
Very good. And we'll get some guys in to talk to us in a second. I think they'll be pretty chuffed with some of their results this evening. Race again. Huge thank you to Dean Logsdale for being our race control safety car driver. Another very quiet night for him. And of course, a huge thank you as well to yourself, Brett, for dropping in and giving me a hand this evening. Very much appreciate you doing that. As these championships for the 60s and as we try and do the others, it's all about everyone just pitching in, volunteering and having a bit of fun and enjoying a bit of comradeship of racing in a set age group and the other age groups pitching in, showing some comradeship and helping out. Huge thank you as well to Peter Baxter, a very, very high caliber race control to have in this event, and appreciate him giving up his time as well. He'll be a very busy boy in a couple of weeks' time when the Pro Series starts. And of course, a huge thank you to everybody out in the chat that's been contributing, even you, bloody Bruce and Dave. Like, yeah. Why do I bother? So huge thank you everyone out in the chat getting involved. Great to have you guys watching. I know after the first race there was a fair bit of interest in the series. And I hope tonight didn't disappoint too much as well. And we'll be back again next week when we do Snetterton 300 layout, which I think will be very interesting because Vets has never been there. And I think it's going to be very interesting, yeah. I don't know what your thoughts on Snetterton are.
I think that, after tonight, it was unfortunate we had those couple of incidents which spread the field out a little bit, but even just focusing on those few battles that we did and the top three, that was a fantastic one to watch. Just the way that that unfolded throughout the race and things like that was fantastic to see. And it just goes to show you that even though there's different splits in there, like with Alex Kiddis, how good was that? Like he was punching above his weight. Well, no, maybe not. But he was punching with the big boys. And that was great to see. So even though the fields are a little bit smaller and it got spread out a bit, I think there was still plenty of action to see on track. And I think that this series is fantastic for these guys to sort of be amongst themselves. Their peers, they are the peers. And the racing is good to watch. It's really, really good to watch, and there's probably a lot to be learnt with some of these guys too.
This is how organised our league is. The points are already updated in Sim Racer Hub. That is awesome. Thank you very much, Dave. So I might as well just refresh myself and go back to that as well. And Pete can give us a quick race control recap of what his thoughts were of the evening.
Look, a little bit messy at the start of the race, I think. There was a couple of unnecessary moves that happened between some drivers. And then there was a little bit of a mess on lap 6, around about turn 4, where 3 or 4 drivers sort of got caught up with each other and forgot about some protocols. But other than that, the race was really clean. We sorted that out pretty quick. A few drive-throughs got handed out, but other than that, everybody settled down. And what I really appreciated was the space that those under blue flags gave the racing drivers. That was a whole lot of courtesy tonight, and really well done to those guys. So yeah. Hopefully, first few laps in the next rounds will be a little bit more today.
Of course, our race winner has joined us. How are you, Greg?
Good. Just give me a sec. I got echo here, so I just have to turn something off.
Yeah, turn your YouTube one down or off or something, is it? I know it might be your live.
So just while we recap and wait for Greg, just quickly read the points out after 2 rounds. So Sharp now ahead of the series with 356 points. Pete Latham on 349. Garry Buckland jumps up 5 spots to 345. Todd Duggan on 340. Ed Cullen 336. In 6th, Shane Patterson on 332, 1 point ahead of Jim Caparonis in 7th. Phil Whiting up 4 spots into 8th with 329 points. Phil Marsh in 9th on 328 points. So great effort there from the boys. Great effort from Dave Coleman too to get that up so quick. I was thinking I was going to do that when I finished the broadcast.
Well, I'm all good now.
You're all good, Greg? No worries. How did you find your start?
Yeah, I remembered to put it in gear this time, so a hell of a lot better.
Dick.
Dick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, note to self, put in gear before start.
Now, I've got Garry in with us as well, so I just want to ask a really interesting question because you went in first, Greg, and then Garry went in second. So Garry did a hammer time hot lap for his extra lap that he did on you, Greg, but he managed to stay stationary for a second less, but you managed to jump him by 3 seconds on your outlap. Which I think
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah,
because I got held up into the pits too by a slower driver, so I lost a few seconds on pit entry. I would have thought so, and I thought, oh shit, I'm in trouble. Like he's going to come out in front of me, and so I obviously I tried to do the best lap I could on that out lap, and I was surprised when I was three and a bit seconds in front of him.
Yeah, no, it was. You didn't have a slow issue into the lane or anything, Garry?
Yeah, I did actually. I hadn't practiced it much and didn't realise it was further forward than where the cones were.
Okay.
So that's where you lost your. That's where you lost your time.
Yeah.
That's where you lost your time coming into pits. Yeah, because we were wondering like how that happened because it was. I mean, you guys were level pegging all the way through, and there was just such a big anomaly coming out of it,
Yeah, I've never been very good at pitting, but I knew Greg was going to come out in front. That's even before I pitted. That's why I did the lap, thinking I'll get an extra point for leading the race.
The old extra point. I love that.
Yep.
What about Kiddis? He was absolutely flying behind you. That would have been a bit of a surprise, a name you're not used to.
Yeah, very quick actually. Out of the pits, he was right behind me, and I thought, I've got to be focused here. I'll try and catch Greg and not look in my mirror. But yeah, he was driving quite well.
He was hard to shake. He was hard to shake. He was right there. He was matching your lap times, very, very well. So he did incredibly well. were you focusing more on trying to catch Greg, and were you able to put Kiddis out of your mind, or you sort of like,
Yes. 100%. I was focused on Greg. I knew he was going to be quick tonight. He always is. Great driving. I could catch him in spots, but he left me in others. So I figured we were pretty fair on the track together. But yeah, I was looking at the windscreen at Greg. I was trying to leave Alex in the distance, and yeah, it panned out that way for a change.
Yeah,
Zero incidents, so I'm happy with that.
Even better. Can't argue with that. What about you, Greg? At 0 incidents?
I think so. Yeah, I did a burnout at the end, and it came up with the 2 times. But I would have thought that everyone would have crossed by then, so I thought I was safe. So I'm actually not sure.
Time will tell. Anyone you want to give a shout out to, Greg?
Yeah, sponsors: Wodonga Carts and Parts, Stone Street Plumbing, Supercheap Auto, Rebel Sports, BCF, MacPack, Tool Guys Adelaide, Barella Cabinets, LGC Images, Dave's 87 Racing, All Boys Motorsport, Send It, Don't Bend It, and Amp Air.
And what about you, Gary? Anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Well, I'm unprepared. I haven't got it written out like Greg has.
Yeah, you got to have it written out. I can't remember all that.
Yeah, no.
make it up as you go along.
I'd just like to thank you guys for the broadcast, for the presentation,
Absolutely.
Race Control for all their efforts. You know, we wouldn't be able to do it without them. And all the other drivers. You know, everyone's putting in really hard for this. I know. I am. So, yeah, hats off to you guys. And yeah, teammates, old mate and sons, they look after us pretty well. And yeah, Jamie for the setup. You know, our major sponsors for putting on vets in the first place, or backing us. Yeah, hats off to them too.
Not too easy. And some bad news for you, Greg. You did get 2x after the flag.
I thought everyone would have been crossed by then. What's the rules?
Some of them were a long way behind you guys.
Yeah, I think we were in the lap cars, Greg.
On that
great
note,
racer. Great race.
Any thoughts from Gary and Greg about Snedden next week?
About what's the track next week?
Snedden 300.
Snedden. Geez, it's been a long time. I can't even remember exactly how it goes, that track.
Ditto. Yeah.
That's dementia for you.
Takes you back to the old PS2 BTCC championship days.
Oh wow!
Rightly, remember rightly, the first turn is either left or right.
It's
done.
right and right again.
I'm sure we'll have a good look during the week and give it a good go next Monday for sure.
Too easy.
Yeah, we got to. It's a bit challenging though, because you know having a short turnaround, you know, Thursday to Monday, it doesn't give me a lot of time to practice the circuit.
Yeah, but I've noticed the over 60 boys rocking back in on Thursday night and going bang.
Yeah, the benefits come in later on in the week.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do.
Particularly the guys that do ASR tomorrow night as well.
Oh yeah, geez.
Yeah.
Plenty of race practice, which is what it's about: getting involved, having fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It's seed time, having fun. That's it.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
we're all doing that. I think everyone's loving it.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad these guys are enjoying it. On that note,
Yeah, no, I had a blast. Yeah.
yeah, good. On that note, we might wrap up the broadcast. Huge thank you to everybody again out in watching the stream and in the chat. Huge thanks again to Fish for dropping in and giving me a hand. Pete Baxter for giving his time up for race control with Dean Logsdale. And Dave Coleman for doing all the points so quickly. And, of course, all the drivers as well getting in. We will be doing this for over 50s next season, so keep an eye on how we're going to tackle that. I think we've got 96 drivers that are going to be in that age bracket, so I've got to work out how we're going to cull it down and work out
I'll
how...
be in that age bracket.
Yeah, so am I. Problem is I've got a feeling I'm not in the fastest 45 in that age bracket. Anyway, we'll work out something. Not everyone may not want to do it either. Excuse me, I'll have time to do it. So anyway, we'll work something out in the off season. Speaking of off season, it's not far away. It is round 6 this week. So start to keep an eye out for things like Rego forms for season 23. That's going to drop in the next fortnight. I think it's the next fortnight. We're not too far away from that. So those things are already being prepared in the background, getting ready to go. So, yeah, and all I'm going to say to everybody racing is make sure you get your entries in those 2 weeks that we give for the current drivers, because there is a huge list waiting to get in. That's all I'm going to say on that. And on that note, we'll see everybody again next week. Thanks for watching, guys.
Good night, all.
Thank you very much, John. Good night.
Cheers. See ya.
Introducing the RaceKraft PT1, custom-built full chassis racing simulator. The design project, codenamed The Cage, an 80/40 extrusion chassis sitting on top of a Sigma Integrale DK2 Plus 4-point full motion actuator system. No compromises in the cockpit of the PT1 simulator. To maximize the experience, we start with the 49-inch ultra-wide monitor for the greatest field of view in a small footprint of the simulator, down to the SimuCube wheelbase that's tucked up and behind the monitors with SimCore extensions to get things out of the driving area. Everything is connected to a Cube Controls GTX steering wheel with the built-in dash and all the extra button functions available at your fingertips. Driving through the Raceworks S1 pedals, the potentiometer throttle and the 2 hydraulic pedals for brake and clutch ensures you maximize the feel underfoot, and seating yourself into an OMP HTER bucket racing seat with OMP belts connected to a G-belt tensioner to provide that extra feeling and the heightened experience while you're driving. Additional interfaces and accessories in the PT1, we have twin butt kickers, one on either side of the OMP seat, as well as a Jinx sequential shifter, the SimPush Race Logic timer to the left-hand side, a RaceKraft built-in WinSim kit with Philips Hue lighting and a built-in soundbar, plus the OMP side net to finish off the experience in the PT1. The RaceKraft PT1, build number 1, the ultimate in sim racing experience. combining the best products in the market with the passionate, no compromise approach that goes beyond racing simulation. Yeah, we worked here.